In this video, we'll continue improving the Business Trips app. To do that, we'll use form templates. They make the process of setting up, creation, editing, and view forms more flexible. You can add additional buttons and widgets, configure when certain fields need to be hidden or displayed, and use scripts. With the previous settings, employees would see the business trip report field when they create a business trip, but in reality it only needs to be filled out at the end of the trip. Moreover, when we open a business trip's view form, the field is displayed as empty. In this video, we'll move the business trip report field to another tab and configure when it needs to be shown. We'll also arrange some fields in columns for convenience. Let's open the business trip form settings. As we have switched to the advanced mode, we can configure templates for each app item form. Let's set up the app item creation form. To do that, let's click Default on the Create tab, then click Create Form. The low-code designer will open. By default, the form template includes the modal window. Inside, you can see the standard item form widget. When you open a form with this widget, you will see the properties that you set up on the corresponding form in the advanced mode with the settings you configured. For example, if you are configuring a template for the creation form, the widget will display the fields you added on the Create tab. This widget allows you to reuse a template on different forms. The template's design will be the same, but the fields and their settings will be different. In our example, we'll use different templates for different forms, so we can delete the standard item form widget. Let's add the app's properties to the creation form and mark some of them as required fields. Let's arrange the starting date and completion date fields in columns. To do that, let's add the columns widget to the form and leave its settings as default. Then, let's drag the properties to the columns and make them required fields. The value of the amount of allowance field is calculated automatically, so let's mark it as read-only. Let's also make ID a required field if the employee selects Needed in the Tickets field. Now we need to publish the form template. Let's go back to the form settings and configure the editing form. Let's delete the standard item form. Instead, we'll add the tabs widget. Let's open the first tab's settings and name it Main. Let's add another tab to the widget and name it Report. On the System tab, you can configure when it should be hidden from the form. You can do so by linking it to an app item property. To do that, let's save the template and go back to the form's settings to create a new property in the advanced mode. On the Context tab, we'll add the Fill out the report now field. It will be a yes/no switch. Note that the first option in a switch always evaluates to true, and the second one to false. If true is passed to the hide option, the tab created on the template will be hidden. If the value is false, the tab will be shown. So we need to swap the options to hide the report tab if the selected option is no. we'll also make no the default value. Let's go back to the editing form. In the Report tab's settings, we need to link the tab with the Fill out the report now field that we created. Next, we'll add the property that stores the business trip report to the tab. We need to link business trip report to the Fill out the report now property the same way we did it in the tab's settings. Now we just need to add all the other fields to the main tab and specify the required fields. Let's add the Columns widget to the form, drag the starting date and completion date fields into the columns, and mark them as required fields. Amount of allowance will be a read-only field. Whether ID needs to be a required field will depend on the Tickets field. Let's add Fill out the report now to the form and make it a required field. Now let's publish the template. We'll configure the Viewform template in a similar way. Let's delete the standard item form and add the Tabs widget. We need to use the same settings as in the editing form to hide the second tab if the value of Fill out the report now is no. We don't have to add the Fill out the report now switch to the form, as its value will be passed from the app context. Let's add the app's properties to the tabs. Now let's add columns the same way we added them to the editing form. It's time to publish the template. Let's see how it works. An employee creates a business trip. When somebody views the business trip, the Report tab is hidden, as the Fill out the report now is switched to no. On the editing form, when the employee selects Yes in the field, the tab for the report appears on the form. Let's fill out this field by uploading the report. Now the tab with the report is available on the Viewform.